In the early hours of Friday, that is November 19th, Prime Minister Narendra Modi dropped the bomb that the three farm laws introduced by his government in 2020 were set to be repealed by the next session of the parliament, that is the winter session, which is slated to begin on November 29th. The alleged farmers plying their trade on the border of the national capital by blocking it for over a year rejoiced. However, there was gloom across the country and in the households of small farmers. The small farmers are now preparing to go back to the archaic system where the rich farmers and artiyas gamed the system and ensured that the status quo was maintained. Hi and welcome, this is TFI English, the national and socio-political analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Piyush, and in this video I will tell you how in trying to appease the fake farmers, the Modi government has left the flank open for the small farmers to get hurt. Let's begin. In contrast to the perception that the entirety of India rose in protest against the three farm laws, now set to be repealed, only a section of farmers from a particular state raised their voice against it. Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his 9 AM speech on Friday suggested the same. However, in trying to appease the fake farmers who got their way through a strong protest of anarchy and vandalism, the Modi government has left the flank open for small farmers to get hurt. India is an agrarian economy, and yet the agriculture sector is running on archaic systems, desperately begging for modernization. The three farm laws were supposed to bring parity to small farmers who are often raised by the big farmers and artiyas, that is, the middlemen between the government and the farmers in the food procurement system. PM Modi, the reformist, was supposed to be the game changer. After all, he brought the GST system that has smoothened the taxation process and filled the government coffers with thousands of crores with routine frequency. However, repealing the farm bills is unlikely to end the protest that has held the national capital hostage for almost a year. Most of the alleged farmers camping in Delhi harbor political and religious ambitions. As far as the content of the bill is concerned, not a single decision was going to hurt the real farmers. The supposed farmers were protesting on the presumption that the minimum support price, or MSP, which benefited the farmers of Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh disproportionately, will be removed. And with the corporate entry in the agriculture sector, their role in production will be reduced. Moreover, they were worried about the fact that government's subsidies on input and output will be removed after the three farm bills. But if one goes by the contents of the three farm bills, none of this presumption holds water. The first bill is about freedom to sell the product. The second is about contract farming. The third is about removing much agricultural produce from the essential commodities list. The first and second bills were set to give better price realization for the agricultural produce, while the third bill would have enabled private investment in the agriculture infrastructure. None of the bills were going to impact the agriculture subsidies that the Modi government gives to the farmers. The Modi government has only increased the subsidies on fertilizers, seed as well as the MSP in the last 7 years. These laws permit the sale of agriculture produce outside the mandis regulated by Agriculture Produce Market Committees, or the APMCs. Outside APMC, the artiyas would not have been able to gain access to their meaty commissions. While a poor state like Bihar removed the compulsion to sell in the APMC over 14 years ago, Punjab and its farmers are still refusing to usher in the new reforms. After freeing the shackles of the APMC, Bihar's agriculture growth in the past 1.5 decades has been around 8%, which is 3 times more than that of India's average and 4 times that of Punjab. Despite the state government not providing the best of facilities, such a quantum leap is astonishing. Imagine if Punjab had clocked in such changes a few years back or had stuck with the farm laws. One of the articles in the leading left-leaning publication argued about the reason for repealing the farm laws. Dismantling APMCs and opening up of agricultural sale and marketing outside these mandis, as well as providing framework for electronic trading, exposes farmers to the volatility and vicissitudes of the market, which is invariably imperfect. Yes, it is the same India that recently clocked over $100 billion in UPI transactions, and yet the opposition made the farmers of the country believe that they would have lost their precious capital in the supposed new framework of electronic trading. The extent of the power of the middleman in Punjab could be gauged by the fact that earlier this year, the Punjab government had vehemently opposed the central government's idea of one nation, one MSP, one DBT. Punjab's Finance Minister Manpreet Singh Badal had reportedly said the government of India refused to budge on the DBT issue and insisted that Punjab will have to transfer money directly to the farmers within 48 hours. Otherwise, they said they will not procure from Punjab. They said it's their money, their food, and this is the way they want it. They will not pay the Artiyas. The then Chief Minister of Punjab, Captain Amrinder Singh, had held a meeting with the Artiyas and ensured them that they will remain an integral part of the system. DBT has been a game changer on national map in other schemes, and yet the opposition, funded by the Artiyas, managed to find demons in it. A similar analogy can be drawn for the farm laws. As for contract farming, a little comparison can help clear the picture. Earlier this year, former CM Captain Amrinder Singh introduced a bill on the floor of the Punjab Assembly to repeal the Punjab Contract Farming Act 2013. According to the said act, farmers can be penalized with a fine of up to 5 lakh rupees and a jail term of 1 month if they seek an exit out of or renege on a contract signed earlier with a private player or a corporate house. In contrast, the farm reforms passed by the Modi government have or had no such provisions, and it is made abundantly clear that a farmer can exit any contract at any given time without fearing any non-compliance triggered action. However, it is the mollycoddling of the successive regimes that has left Punjab in a deep rut. The rich Artiyas, masquerading as farmers, have managed to plummet the state's fortunes. Farmers, the backbone of Punjab's economy, are mere landowners in the state. The majority of labourers who work in the fields of Punjab are migrants from Bihar, Jharkhand and Uttar Pradesh. This seems to be the reason why such a large number of farmers are gathered on Delhi border for such a long time, because they do not have the responsibility of farming back home. As reported by TFI, until the 1990s, Punjab was miles ahead of other states in terms of its per capita income, thanks to the Green Revolution of the late 1960s. However, as India transformed from a primarily agrarian economy to a service and industry-based economy after reforms of 1991, Punjab was left far behind. Ideally, the GST collections from Punjab should have been much higher than Bihar, given the fact that the purchase on which the GST is imposed, goods consumed by high-end consumers, are sold more in the state. However, GST collection data for the financial year 2020 showed that Punjab only contributed 15,000 crore rupees to the exchequer, while Bihar, one of the poorest states in the country, contributed more than 12,000 crore rupees. As per the graph by economists Shamika Ravi and Mudit Kapoor, the economic growth in Punjab for the last few decades has been so low that it has been left far behind many states in India in terms of per capita income. Today, per capita income in Haryana is 1.5 times more than that of Punjab. The state is now far behind in all three sectors: agriculture, industry and services. Punjab and its middlemen have set the country back by some decades. No political party will be willing to touch the taboo topic of agricultural reforms, and that is perhaps the biggest regret that PM Modi and his government will carry.